think I love chaos. Hello everybody, it's the Warhipster here. We're back! It's a new year and we're making new review content. Now, some of you may not believe me, but it is me. I promise. It's me, the Warhipster. I just cut my hair off, that's all. I promise, see? Look, glasses and everything. Same glasses. These are filthy, I need to clean them. Ugh. I can see better without them right now. Yes, we're back with a fresh look. Yes, we're here today and we are reviewing the new Slaves to Darkness army range. Yes, Games Workshop have very kindly sent me a huge mountain of stuff. We have Chaos Warriors, we have the Exalted Hero of Chaos, we have Eternus, Blade of the First Prince, and we have the Chaos Warriors Knights, and we have, once again, the new Daemon Prince. So we've already seen this guy, so he's not exciting. Except he is exciting, because now all of you can get one. On its own. Yes, this is an incredible way to kick the year off with the Slaves to Darkness. They've fast become my favourite Age of Sigmar army, until more Stormcasts come out. It's inevitable, guys. So what are we going to be doing in this video? Well, we're going to be taking a look inside all of the boxes, at all of the sprues, just as we've done on most of the army set reviews and things like that we did last year. Because there's a lot of new components in here to look at. And you know what we like to do? We like to be as informative as possible around here at Warhipster Towers. Now this video does come with a little bit of background that needs to just be clarified here. You see, I spent the first sort of 10 days of the year sick as a dog with the old Rona. So yeah, this one's a little bit strange because I filmed it right in the middle of all of that, so my energy was a little bit low and my voice is a little bit quiet in it at times because I was trying not to cough everywhere. I'm all better now, so don't worry. Not that you were, but don't, please, promise me. But yeah, I just thought I should explain that so it doesn't sound like I'm really annoyed or tired or upset, because I was really excited filming this. I just couldn't communicate that with my voice. Apart from now, where I can communicate things with my voice by being all excitable and happy and pumped for the Slaves to Darkness. So with all of that said, I think it's probably time that we jump right in to the Slaves to Darkness. Don't you? You've had enough of me. So let's go and listen to me from the past. Alrighty, let's kick things off in the most logical place, the easiest one to do, the Exalted Hero of Chaos, the brand new one. It's a fantastic looking miniature. And when you look at the box, you can of course see that you get two different variants. You get the two weapon options, which is the dual axes, and you get the sword and shield. I was going to do sword and shield, which doesn't make any sense. Shield and sword. Sword and shield, you know. Anyway, so here we are, the Exalted Hero of Chaos. Now, I've already got the stuff out. Inside, what you get is a 40mm base. You get an instruction manual and you get a single sprue, which is awesome. So, let's have a quick look at this instruction manual then. We've got another example of him painted on the back here, which is really useful. Seeing how they've done that blade. That is a black blade. That's very, very cool. Anyway, as mentioned, you get your two different options for weapons, and you get two different heads in here as well. Now, you get 1, 2, 3, just the 3 pages of instructions. So he's a nice and simple miniature to build. He is 13 components, allegedly. Yep, that makes sense. I mean, it's numbered up to 13, so there you have it. And yeah, like I said, it's a nice simple kit, and you get those two weapon options within. Very, very simple. So looking at the sprue then, this is where we started here because it's the quickest and easiest. Having a quick look then upon first reaction,
we can see that the shield is nicely attached to the sprue, again with these kind of contact points here on the outside of the shield, so they'll be nice and easy to smooth down. On this axe here, we've got the contact points here and here on the weapon, so you'll want to be careful at the top of the axe to make sure you get a nice smooth finish. Same for this one as well. And you do get a contact point here on the actual body of the miniature, but that's going to be inside here, so it's not too important that you get that nice and smooth. You will obviously want to smooth it down so that when you attach it here, it doesn't have a kind of weird bobbly fit. As for the bareheaded option, we have a contact point here on the side of the neck, which is just about okay. At least it's not on the flesh of the head, but we do have 2 contact points here on the hair, which can be a little bit tricky, so you want to make sure you definitely use a knife to thin and smooth those ones down. Looking at the helmeted option, we have 2 contact points on the horns, which can be frustrating. So again, use a knife very carefully to smooth that out, or a mold line remover if you prefer. You just want lots and lots of smooth passes with a mold line remover to make sure you get that nice and smooth so you don't gouge the horn. We also, again, just like with the bear head, we get the contact points in the hair as well. Now on the leg, we've got it on the underside of the rock, which is a big plus, but then we have it here on the thigh, which means it's going to be a little tricky in terms of getting that nice and smooth. Same here on the main body, we've got a contact point here on the thigh, and we've got it on the underside here, got one here on the side of the kind of scabbard of the knife, and we've got one there on the shoulder. So, I mean, another point of criticism I think here on this weapon is we've got that contact point on the blade. So again, be very careful when you're taking off that gate with the knife, because you don't want to gouge the sword. You want that to be a nice straight cutting edge. All in all, it's not particularly well laid out on the sprue. There's kind of contact points in quite a few annoying areas. We've got one here to be very careful of on the chain. That's one that's very easy to clip and then snap the chain. So you want to start here on the chain and then clip on the skull rather than the other way around, because you could run the risk of pinging this kind of part of the component this way and then snapping the chain just here. That could be a potentially quite weak contact point. You just want to be very careful around there. The cloak, however, does have a plus, as most of the contact points are on areas that are easy to conceal, like the bottom here, or easy to thin out, which is on the edge just there. The ones to watch out for are on the body of the cloak here, because they overlap onto the main body of the outside of the cloak, so those will be visible. So you want to make sure that you've got that nice and smooth. So, not a great start in terms of the sprue layout, but we're going to see what it's like to build in just a second. With our Exalted Hero of Chaos all built, he looks absolutely fantastic. We're going to pop him to one side and we're going to move on to the next new character from the range, and that is, of course, Eternus, Blade of the First Prince. Now, out there somewhere, there is a universe where Warhipster is building this up, and he thinks to himself, nah, I'm not really fussed about Eternus. I'll just build a Chaos Lord on demonic mount with a lance. But that is not this universe, because of course we're going to be doing Eternus. This is a early 2023 model of the year contender for me. I think it looks absolutely stunning. Loved it since the moment it was first previewed. So once again, I've taken everything out of the box already, and within the box you get a instruction manual. Here it is. You get a base. I'm not sure where it's gone. I had it just a second ago. Aha! It's here on my lap. You get a base. I'm not entirely certain what size it is. It might say it in here. No, it does not. I think it's a 90mm oval base. There we go, 90mm oval base. And you get 2 sprues. Well, 2 half-size sprues. for building either Eternus or the Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount. It's very, very cool how they do this within the kit. So we're going to pop the sprues to one side, and we're just going to take a quick look in the instruction manual. Now, first things first, what you do is you build up the body of the mount, and this will go for either Eternus or for the Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount. It's just one page here, and then you get the blue section. It's the blue background, as you can see, and these kind of parts are all highlighted in blue. This is for building Eternus, of which there is 1, 2, 3 pages. Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount, you would have that page, and as you can see, it's tinted green on the background, and all the parts are highlighted in green. And you get 1, 2, and a bit for your, 3 pages for your Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount. And as you can see, it's a very, very cool way that they've managed to change it up within this one single kit. So got a slightly different head. This one is not sitting on the rock, whereas the Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount is. That's very, very, very cool. I'm such a big fan of this model. I absolutely adore it. So we are going to, I've already mentioned it, but we're definitely building Eternus. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the sprues. So we'll start here. And this is where the main body of our mount is contained. That's page 1 of the instruction manual. So first time looking at the sprue. Seems a bit better than the Exalted Hero of Chaos. We do have contact points here on the musculature of the mount. So as you can see here on the curve of the muscles of the leg, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 contact points on flesh or outward facing details. So those are areas that you want to be nice and careful with. Again, using your knife or your mold line remover, you want to get that nice and close without gouging it too much, is one thing to watch out for. Component 27 here. Again, I'm not sure if all of these components or which fit on either kit, but we will be checking them all out regardless. This one actually looks like it's for the Demonic Mount, looking at the picture that I can see just in front of me. But here on component 27, you can see you've got these smooth details on the horn here and here, which you just want to be very careful when you're clipping this out. So you get nice and close and then use the knife to smooth that down. The armor is nicely attached to the sprue because we've got our contact points on the outside. They are not on the inside, so it's quite easy to just kind of clip them out and smooth them off. The cloak, again, is done very well. The only place to be very careful of here is on that horn, but that is a Chaos Lord on Demonic Mount piece. Same for that shield. But again, contact points are on the outside. It's all looking pretty good. The head here, this one is for Eternus, I'm pretty certain. You do have a contact point here on the chin, and that is an outward facing detail. And just check it on the other side. It doesn't overlap, so you should get a nice join between the two halves of the head, but there is that detail on the outside of the chin. And because he's facing up and rearing down, you will be able to see that. So just be very careful when you're smoothing that one down. The body here is attached to the shoulders, which means it should be covered by shoulder pads or cloaks. And this weapon here looks awesome. It's a sheathed sword. I'm always into that. Everybody knows that. I love a sheathed sword. But yeah, otherwise, this sprue looks pretty good. Oh, we do have one thing to mention just here. We have a toe that's going to need to be nice and careful when clipping that. You don't want to gouge that one or snap it when you're taking it off the sprue. I think that's the back of Eternus's body based on the raised up part of this arm. But again, not entirely certain on which component to go with which. But otherwise, this sprue seems to be in pretty good shape. Now, let's look at the other one, where we've got some more fiddly details. So we've got areas such as this head, for example, which I'm not sure. I think that is Eternus's head. Yes. So that's two-part head because it's got a thing that goes on top of it as well for all the spikes. These guys do love a good spike. Now we do have the tail down here, which has got a contact point on outward facing area, so just be a little bit careful when you're smoothing that down. Again, we are just pointing out areas that you want to be careful when you're clipping, because you really don't want to gouge it. This is going to be the front of Eternus's mount. We've got some clipping points here on the ends of the horns, so just be a little bit careful there. And the weapon here, in fact both the hammer and the halberd, you want to be careful around the top part and make sure you get a nice smooth clip off and a nice smoothing down with the knife. You don't have too many problems with excessive mold lines. We've got a little bit of one going on the inside here of the halberd, so just watch out for that. The armor plates again are nicely attached to the sprue here, here and here, and we've got some very nicely attached pieces of neck again on the outside parts of armor pieces, so it's nice and easy to smooth down. Just be a little bit careful as well around on this chain and on this flag. The reason for the chain is you want to clip it off just up here first and then do the two skulls, and on here you want to be careful clipping it off on the banner first and then the pole, because if you clip the pole off you might again squash it that way and just cause a little bit of snapping around here. Otherwise this seems pretty good, much better than the Exalted Hero of Chaos. I think that's pretty cool. Oh, we do have a chain here, just to be careful of. Again, just clip it here on the chain and then that bit up there, so you don't risk snapping those slightly weaker contact points in any of the chains. Right, it's time to put this down, and it's time to get our building tools and start building Eternus, Blade of the First Prince. Eternus all done. He's absolutely fantastic. I adore this model. It just looks amazing. Oh baby, can't wait to paint this one. Anyway, with Eternus all built, what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the Daemon Prince. Now we've already done the Daemon Prince on the channel. We've been fairly cohesive review before I got sick like I am right now. And here it is, the new Daemon Prince. It comes in an A4 box, which is really cool. It's very impactful, very awesome. As you can see, it's branded as a Warhammer Age of Sigmar model, which is fantastic, at least to me. This is the Slaves to Darkness Daemon Prince. However, because we've already done a review on how to build him, we're not going to be looking too much at the sprue, because the sprue is exactly the same as it was in the Slaves to Darkness army sets. If you want to see that, go and check out that video. I'll link it just here or in the corner somewhere. But one thing that I do want to look at here is the instruction manual, because whilst everything is the same here, you get the same 3 sprues, which I'll show you. Here they are. So your 1, 2, and your 3. You get the exact same 3 sprues, and you get a 60mm round base. What we do have is the new instruction manual, and that's the most important part of this. So this is for all you Warhammer 40,000 fans. Seeing how this is laid out is going to be really important. So let me just pop this on the floor. There we go. So this is a hefty instruction manual. It's got some serious weight to it. Now we've got all the same product photography here on the back, and you get the same amount of kind of customizability from the kit. So you get the 4 different heads, you get the undivided head, and you are going to get the undivided head for 40k as well. Now what we have here when we kick things off is we finally get some kind of product photography for the Warhammer 40,000 Daemon Prince within the kit, as you can see just there. Previously we just saw this bit in the Slaves to Darkness army set. And then we get Warhammer Age of Sigmar up here, and we get Warhammer 40,000 down there. So it is divided, much like with Eternus, into the same kind of style of dividing things up. So you get your single consistent bit that you build. It's just this whole section, which is the body and a bit of the tail. So you stop up to there, and then it gives you the choose the variant you want to build, and we are in Age of Sigmar territory at the moment, I think. No, this is still choose the variant you want to build. So this is the kind of which angle is he facing out at? Is he looking straight out here, or is he looking off to his left hand side? Then we have Age of Sigmar divided into two, so you get your blue pathway and your green pathway, which is really, really awesome. And this is dependent on which way you have him facing, so facing out or facing off to his left, I think. No, they look the same. Slightly confusing there, because that's the one that's looking out, but this is where he's looking anyway. So you've got your blue and your green. Yes, this is for the arm. Sorry, yes, you've got a bit of the illness brain. We have the blue and the left in terms of the tilt of the weapon. That's what we've got. You still get the same weapon choices. You get the axe, the sword, and the malefic talons as well. You get your wings, and you get your Age of Sigmar trophy rack. You then have your Warhammer 40,000 section. This is different coloured here, so you can kind of, we don't have the head or anything like that, but we do have the trophy rack and the wings, which is cool. So what we then have here is the how to build it for 40k. This is where you get the use of all of those pipes, so components 48 and 49. This is where you get the non-existent in the codex anymore warp bolter, but that's how you get that kind of that chunky Space Marine forearm that we get on the left and the right as well, both arms, which is very, very cool. And it then also tells you axe and sword and malefic talons. You then have the choice down here, you get 3 different options: the same trophy rack, you get the wings, or you get the backpack we talked about in the previous video. And there you go, that's how it is built. Making sense so far? So you get either your Age of Sigmar or your 40k Daemon Prince up to this state, and then you finalize it by choosing your tail, the icon on the shoulder pad here, and the head, and you get your instructions for doing it. So you get your undivided versions here. You then got your Tzeentch, your Slaanesh, your Nurgle, and your Khorne, and it is all nicely labelled for you. And those are consistent across both kits. You don't have like a Khorne 40k and a Khorne Age of Sigmar head in addition. And there you have it. Very, very cool. It's nicely laid out, and fans of both game systems or fans of 40k who want this, you are finally able to have and build the new Daemon Prince. But as mentioned, we're not going to be building this one in this video because we've already done it, and we've already got a painting video, which I will now link here in the description as well. And so there you go, Daemon Prince, all done and dusted. So with the Daemon Prince cat out of the way, what we're now going to do is we're going to focus on the next brand new one, and that is the new Chaos Warriors from the Slaves to Darkness army. So they are a completely and totally new kit. Some people were thinking that it was going to be an upgrade kit, but it's not. It's a completely brand new Chaos Warriors kit, as opposed to the push fit ones that were in the start collecting Slaves. We did see some new ones, which I've been doing some videos on, as I'm sure you are aware, but this is completely and totally new. You've got the halberds and things in here as the options that are in the battle tome, but they were not in the push fit start collecting version. But as you can see, oh, we've also got a musician. We've got a banner as well. We've got a fantastic, absolutely stonking, brand new kit. It looks absolutely incredible. So, contained within, what do you get? Well, you get an instruction manual, because of course you do. You then get 3 sprues. These are half-size sprues, and you get 10 32mm bases. So, before we look at those sprues, let's have a quick look at the instruction manual. So, contained within the kit is lots and lots and lots of loveliness. So you get 8 halberds within here. You get 8 just kind of, I think they're called ensorcelled weapons. I can't remember what they're called in the battle tome. You got the ability to build the halberds with shields, but I think the unit gets a rune shield save anyway, so I don't think it's absolutely critical that you have to have the shields on there, and that's important for a couple of reasons, because there are the occasional chaps like this one here with a halberd where he's not holding a shield, but that's when you got your standard bearer as well. You get a couple of different variants on the champion, or you can just build it as a normal chaos warrior. You've got your shield, and you can choose the halberd or a sword, and then if you want to build it just as a chaos warrior, you absolutely can do that. So, looking in further, we have this banner, of course, and we have 2 different options on the banner, which is very cool. For those of you who don't want to paint flags, you do have icons, and you get 2 options of icons to put on there as well if you're taking the flag, and I believe on the banner pole itself as well. No, the icon doesn't have that option, but there we go. You then have your musician. Again, musician is armed with a hand axe and a blowy thing, a horn. And now you can see we get the halberd and spear, halberd and shield, I should say, halberd and shield, axes and shields. You get all these kinds of different options. There's tons and tons and tons of bits and awesomeness contained within this kit. Absolutely fantastic. I love it. There we go. I believe it's 10 unique options as well, looking through it upon first glance. You obviously have all of your helmets, and you have a couple of bear heads here, and yeah, there we go. It's a really cool little instruction manual. There you have it. Now, looking at the plastic itself, I'm going to take these a sprue at a time. So there we have it. So here we go. These are really cool. Look at that cloak with the shield already molded in. That's pretty nice. That's a really cool piece. These halberds look absolutely wicked as well, and they all seem to be attached to the sprue. As far as I can tell, in reasonable places. We do have some contact points here on the shaft of the halberd itself, and that can be a little bit tricky, so try not to gouge it there. You want to be, again, very gentle with the mold line remover. This one is pretty nice. You've got the contact point there, and at the end of the armor piece. Same here. We've got a little one on the hand. The cloaks, again, they all appear, on this sprue at least, to be attached kind of at the ends of the cloak. It's not overlapping. This one actually, and this one does have some contact points on the flats, and it's on the peeled back inside layer, so you will see that. So you just want to be careful when you're clipping that off, and you want to smooth that down quite nicely and smoothly and gently. Same here on this one. On this body, we have a contact point on that kind of hip plate, which that one is going across the pinnacle of it. So you've got the, if that's the hip plate like that, you've got the contact point here across the summit of it. So that could be a little potentially annoying to clip out. So again, just be very careful and make sure you get a nice smooth action going with the knife to make sure you get that to a nice point. You probably would use a knife there rather than a mold line remover. Same on this one. The banner attached at the outside points, and the same for the icon. That's very cool. There we go. That's sprue number 1. Oh, we do have a head here, and that's the most important part to check. We have the head attached at the neck, but we do have it on the horns on both of these. So again, those are areas you want to watch out for gouging. So just be careful. There we go. That's sprue number 1. We'll go on to sprue number 2 here. We've got some more halberds. We have a contact point on the side, and on the side there of the shaft. We have it on the side here as well. So these halberds are not as cool as the other ones, being only at the points. But there we go. Can't have it all, eh? Cloaks. We have a contact point here on a flat, open inside area. And we have one here on this side. We have one here on this side as well. We've got more heads attached at the sprue by the horns. But otherwise, the bodies appear to have not got those contact points on the hip plates here, which is good. Mostly on the undersides of boots. We've got a little bit of it going on here on the top of the cloak. So that will just be one of those kind of be careful moments. Otherwise, oh no, we do have some contact on the hip plates here, just there, as you can see, on both of them. So you just want to bear that in mind when you're coming to this sprue. But otherwise, yeah, it seems to be in order. And then finally, we have this sprue, where we have kind of a few more of the consistent things to point out. So this halberd, put a contact point there on the shaft. We don't on this one. We don't on this one, but we do have it on the hand, so we'll just want to watch out for that. We have a contact point here on the flap of the inside of the cloak. So again, just want to be careful. Same there and same there. Got contact points on the hip plates here. Not on this one and not on this one, but those are on the knee, so also just be a little bit careful with that. And we have more heads. Actually, ooh, big no-no, this one. We have a contact point here on the top of the head. That's always tricky there. You just want to be very careful with those, because it's always a dome on the top of the helmet. And when they put the contact point on the top there, it's easy to gouge it, and basically it looked like it's a domed helmet with this flat chunk taken out at the top of the at an angle. So yes, there we go. These swords, I think these are the first swords to appear. No, we have one over there. We don't have any on that first sprue. No, all the swords seem to be attached at the blade level as well. So just be very careful. Yeah, this is going to be one of those kits that takes a little bit of concentration. And yeah, there's a couple of slightly annoying contact points here, which is a little frustrating with this kit, to be quite honest. But we'll see what it's like to build. So there we go, Chaos Warriors, totally new, all of those bits. Looks fantastic. One thing I will just point out is we have no sheathed swords. Disappointing, I know, but there we go. Anyway, we're gonna gather our tools once again, and we're gonna build up one of the Chaos Warriors on the time-lapse thing coming up next. So with our Chaos Warriors all built, we now come to the final kit in the new swath of releases, and it is of course the one that I think a lot of people have been really looking forward to. We have the Chaos Knights. Here they are. Woo! So it's a really awesome kit, and it's quite surprising in many ways. So as you can see within here on the box art, the first thing that jumps out at you immediately is you now get a banner in here, and you get a horn blower as well, so the musician, that was the option in the battle tome. And what's not shown here is the new weapon option, because before it was just either the lance or the flail, whereas now you get the big hammer as well. Now how did they do this? Well, what you get inside the box is an instruction manual. There it is. You get, and this should be the first big clue for a lot of you, you get 5 of these 90mm oval bases. I think they're 90mm oval bases. They might be 60mm oval bases actually. But I think the big clue here is that these are still the push fit versions of the Chaos Knights. However, we do have an additional sprue. So for those of you who had Slaves to Darkness start collecting, you will recognize this sprue, you will recognize this sprue, and you will recognize this sprue as well. However, included within the box is another sprue, a 4th one. Here it is. It is the little upgrade sprue. And this is really very, very cool, and it's very, very clever. So on this new upgrade sprue, we get a new head for one of the horses, which is the leader of the pack, the Doom Knight, because you get a new shield as well. There it is. You also get the new hammer. You get 4 new icons, which can go at the top, 5 new icons, which can go at the top of the banner, and we get a new body piece as well as the horn, a new helmet, and well, that's kind of it. So, just quickly looking at the instructions then, and then we'll have a proper look at the sprues because we haven't done them before. Contained within, we have 75mm oval bases with the slots cut out already, so you can just slot your guys in. You have your Doom Knight here, your champion. Can be equipped with a lance, can be equipped with a hammer. As you can see, we get the interchangeable parts. So the original one here for the Chaos Knight version of things, and we have the Doom Knight, the unit champion version. It's that new shield and that new head for the horse. It's very clever when they do this. So here you can see they've got the flail as well, and there's your 2 options for the lance. It's the same lance. Looking at it, component 48. There we go. Then over the next page, this is this guy. I believe it's this horse. Instead of it looking like this, you can give the banner, or well, and that new helmet, or you can use the old helmet as you desire. As mentioned, you get your 5 different icons here. 1 for your Chaos Undivided, Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh. The best case usually is to go for Chaos Undivided, and then you can just kind of say it's any of these 4, unless you want to really tech into one of those 4 specific gods, in which case, go nuts. You now can do that, which is very, very cool. Then we have our next one, which is this guy. Got it just here. No, it isn't. It's the other one. It's the other one that looks like that. This one. This Chaos Knight. There he is. Bit of flash on him. There he is. Instead of building him in this way, though, you can instead give him the horn and the new head that goes along with the horn. It's all built into the same thing. So ultimately, these components are all push fit, but some of the new ones do require a bit of glue, which is very, very interesting. It's very cool. It's a very innovative way of making these kits kind of work a little bit harder than they perhaps were originally intended to. Some folks might feel a little bit shortchanged that it's not a fully, completely different kit, but the start collecting version, the push fit one, was really, really cool. It looks really nice, and actually just being able to add these couple of little differences here, it makes all the difference. So some of the, as mentioned, some of these things are going to be requiring glue. So the icons, for example, they will require some glue to be assembled to here. That's not enough of a push fit on the top of that banner, for example. Whereas the head for the horse still kind of maintains that push fit nature. Some of these heads do as well, so you can see there you got a little plug that will just go into that where it goes on the model itself. Same over here. But this one, the instrument, not so much. That's going to require some gluage. But otherwise, this sprue I think is really nicely laid out in terms of how it's kind of attached to the sprue itself. The banner here on the edge of the banner pole, We do have one contact point there on the side of the banner pole, so you do just want to be a little bit careful there. This head and this head, you've got those contact points on the horns again, so that's one of those things you want to be careful of. The icons are all attached at the edges of the icons, which makes it a little bit easier for smoothing it down and clipping it out. The only kind of real negative here, I think, is probably on this helmeted head, that you've got this attachment here rather than on the kind of neck. You've got the attachment here on the back of the helmet, so you just need to be really careful. We don't have that on these two, but we do have it there, so just be very careful when you're building that. Otherwise, the horse head, again, it's pretty much, you can't avoid having contact points on things like hair and stuff, so they are there, but yeah, we can kind of forgive it a little bit when it comes to the horse's head. This one, again, slightly easier to get off because it's just on the bridle there. We've got a bit of the armor just there, same here and same there. You won't see that one, so you don't have to be especially careful, but it is push fit, so you will. Then we have the other three sprues, which we'll just take a very quick look at, because whilst it is an old kit, well, it's not old, it's really quite new, but it's old in terms of this release. As you can see, we've got all the push fit nature of it here. So they've not removed any of the plugs in order to make this a non-push fit kit, as you kind of expect here. But this is a very nice kit. The push fit kits are always kind of generally laid out really nicely on sprue, because everything's in like a 2D kind of 2D way is attached to the sprue. And what I mean by that is like the entire of that body, for example, flat against the sprue. So all of the connection points are on the outside of the details. It's not very often in push fit stuff that you get kind of slightly weird placements of things. You do get weird components, but you don't get kind of weird placements of stuff. You do occasionally get a component like this, but again, that kind of section just there, you can see that it's attached to the outside of that bit, which is going to slot inside along the other part of the leg, which will be on here. I'm not saying that these two definitely go together, 1 and 5, maybe they do, but they just kind of go in just there on that leg, for example. But yes, like I said, this kit has already been around for a while. Here's our next sprue, and again, it's the same thing. All of this is kind of in the 2D plane. The only things to watch out really for are things like lances, where you've got connection points on the lance itself. So you do just want to be careful when you're snipping that out. So again, that you don't gouge it flat. If you use a knife to do these things, you just want to kind of just very gently use a mold line remover to smooth that out. Get as nice a closer cut as you can when you're bringing it off the sprue. So there you go. And we've got our last sprue, and again, it's the same deal. Just be careful around those lances. And just make sure that when you're going around the horse bodies, because they are large pieces of plastic, just be careful as you go around and make sure you get to all of the bits that need kind of smoothing out in terms of the flash and stuff like that. So with all of that in mind, it is now time to build a Chaos Knight. And we're just going to build the Doom Knight in here, and I'm going to go with the hammer because I think it looks fantastic. I think logic dictates going with the lance, but I just really like the look of the hammer, and there haven't been enough hammers in my Chaos army for my Slaves to Darkness yet, so that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to build that hammer up. We're going to do that on the time lapse, and we're going to do it right now.
There you have it. All of our model kits are now built, but I bet the question you're asking yourselves right now is, what does it all look like painted? I wonder if Mr. Warhipster is going to show us how to paint all of this glorious plastic. Well, it just so happens that I am. So first up, Eternus, Blade of the First Prince. Here he is. This video will be coming out very, very soon. Don't you worry about that. Oh, then we have the Exalted Hero of Chaos in all his glory, in the silver scheme that you see on the box with that black shield and that awesome dark red cloak. Next up we have the Chaos Warriors with the halberds, because of course, and again dark metal scheme, but they've gone a little bit darker than we have on everything else because I want them to be really grubby and, you know, not quite as exalted as the rest of our Chaos worshippers. Here we have some Chaos Knights. We've already done this video, so I haven't painted these ones just yet. I didn't quite get the time, but this video is available right now. And of course, the Daemon Prince himself. What an absolute spectacular centerpiece. And this video, of course, is live as we speak.
Oh, it's not fair. These models are just too sexy. Why did I have to fall to chaos?
Yes, I've already mentioned it in this video, but this has fast become one of my favourite armies. I just think it looks absolutely breathtaking. I have them before me. You can't see it, but I can see it. And it's just awesome. So, nuts and bolts of the review then. How would we rate this on that oh so famous Land Raider scale that you guys keep coming back for? Everyone's always commenting on it, you know. Everyone always thinks that's the best part of these videos. I'm gonna keep trying to make it a thing until it becomes a thing. Yeah, so on the scale of 1 to 10 of it being a Land Raider versus not being a Land Raider, well, how to rate? I think you could tell from my building, and I don't know whether this is because I had the Rona and I was getting frustrated with building, but it took me a little longer to build all of these things because of the sprue placement. So there's a combination there of being ill and also not really wanting to build whilst being ill. And then I think there's just a couple of things where some stuff is just placed a little bit strangely on the sprue in ways that I really kind of hope eventually we get to a point where it doesn't get placed like that on the sprue ever again. Stuff like on those thigh plates when it's connected at the apex of the armor. It's slightly annoying trying to smooth that stuff down and get a nice clean point on it. So I think firstly I should say 10 out of 10 for looks. I mean, Eternus, Blade of the First Prince, to give him his full title. Come on, this is a 10 out of 10 model right here. Look at it. Behold. Behold, Eternus, Blade of the First Prince. It's not a really good showcase for it on this camera. Anyway, 10 out of 10 for aesthetics. Absolutely. But I think with these kits, and it's a stark contrast to the ones that we got in the Army Slaves to Darkness army set. Good lord, I've run out of words. I think in stark contrast to the building of that was a lot easier. I think a lot of those sprues were laid out really nicely. So the Daemon Prince is still where it was at when I rated it the first time, which I can't remember off the top of my head. Quite high, I believe. But we can definitely compare the push-fit Chaos Warriors to these Chaos Warriors, and the push-fit experience was a lot nicer. The Chaos Knights push-fit experience was okay. I sort of enjoyed that. The new way that the additional stuff from that extra sprue goes in is really intelligent and very cool. But the Exalted Hero of Chaos, the pieces being where they were and attached to the sprue in the manner that they were, and same for a bit of Eternus, Blade of the First Prince. I don't know. I think in terms of usability of these sprues, unfortunately it does mean it's about a 6 out of 10 in terms of that. So I think we would have to give it an average of 7.5, which is quite high. But for something that's become fast my favourite thing, like I'm not going to do that whole thing again. Eternus, Blade of the First Prince, for example. For something that's like him, where I adore that model and I think it's fantastic. But for the building of it to have been a bit as difficult as it was, same for the Chaos Warriors and the Chaos Knight and the Exalted Hero, I think 7.5, or maybe, actually, do you know what, I might even go as low as 6.5. No, let's say 7. Let's go for a nice 7 out of 10. That feels fair, because my excitement is palpable. The schemes are wonderful. The aesthetic is amazing. The models look great on the table all together. But building them was a bit of a nightmare. There we go. I've just thought to myself out loud in front of all of you to get it a 7 of 10. 7 of 10? What is this? Star Trek? 7 out of 10. I'm still not 100% healthy. It's not quite succinct here at the end. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful and you enjoyed it. And it's great to be back making content again. We only had really like a week off, 2 weeks off, and most of it was spent unwell. But I had a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful New Year, and I cannot wait for the wonders of 2023, and I hope that you will join me on this journey for the next year, because it's going to be amazing. I'm pretty certain. Hoo boy. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you want to support me further like these legends and bosses on the screen before you, you can do so. Head to patreon.com/warhipster or head to ko-fi.com/warhipster. Alternatively, you could become a YouTube member by heading to the channel page and clicking on the join button just here, just like these amazing, wonderful people have done. And if you really like this video or you just want to shoot me some support, you can click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.